Hello, welcome back to my summer series. Today's summer day is kind of gloomy and wet and a little bit chilly right now, but I wanted to dash off another video. Almost finished here. I just got a few more videos left to go. The series is called Biggest Movie Summer Ever, and I'm taking a look back at summer movie seasons in an effort to determine which one is the biggest. Was it this past summer, 2018, which had some big stuff come out, or was it something that happened a little earlier? I'm on to 2012, and 2012 was a very, very big year, in particular because of the Avengers. The Avengers came out in the beginning of May of 2012, excuse me. I made a mistake actually in an earlier video. I talked about Spider-Man from 10 years beforehand, 2002. It was the first movie to make $200 million in one weekend. That was not correct. It's only $100 million. Made $100 million in 3 days on its opening weekend here in the North American region. Avengers, the first Avengers movie, made over $200 million. It's the movie that broke that particular record, and not Spider-Man. Spider-Man did pretty well, though, all things considered. Aside from just making a huge amount of money, the Avengers, of course, demonstrated the viability of the shared universe business model for movie franchises. We've had a couple of studios attempt this in the years since then. Warner Brothers, somewhat successfully with the DC movies. They've had some box office hits and some which didn't quite live up to expectations. And then we had Universal, which tried to do a shared universe starting with Dracula Untold and then later on The Mummy starring Tom Cruise, and it didn't really take off. They had planned to do, I think, Frankenstein with Javier Bardem, The Invisible Man with Johnny Depp, and more with Cruise, I guess, and Bride of Frankenstein, I think, with, yeah, I got that wrong. It's Bride of Frankenstein with Angelina Jolie, possibly. Anyway, they did like a photo shoot with the main actors all gathered together in one room, and they're like, we're gonna do this! And then The Mummy didn't do very well, and of course Dracula Untold didn't do really much of anything at all. So that didn't work out. But they're still going to try. People are still probably going to try to do that kind of thing. But it would seem that the more traditional franchises, where you have the same groups of main characters in each film, would assure success a little bit more soundly than the shared universe, which is something pretty unique in movies. But the Avengers, of course, did so well that the Marvel Cinematic Universe really took off from there. Each one of its movies has been big hits. The Ant-Man movies less so than the others, but yeah, it's been just an extraordinary run for Marvel Studios doing this, building up the world with the solo movies that came before: Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and then finally Avengers. Oh, and the Incredible Hulk as well, although that's from a different studio. But it's all sort of connected, as I'm sure you're aware. The other top-grossing movies that summer were the conclusion to the Dark Knight trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises, and Ice Age 4. I'm not sure about when the other Ice Age movies came out. Some of them must have come out in summer, but I haven't really seen any of them. Never really had an interest in that particular family movie series. But Ice Age 4, huge, and most summers you'll find an animated movie or two doing very, very well. This year it was, I think, Incredibles 2 that made all the bucks in that particular category. In addition to those movies, we had a reboot of Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield taking over the role from Tobey Maguire and really kind of redoing the origin story. He had a new actor playing Aunt May, new actor might have possibly played Mary Jane if she hadn't been cut from the sequel. They had Gwen Stacy instead. Gwen Stacy was in Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, but not as big a presence in the Sam Raimi trilogy. It's more Mary Jane. So that movie did pretty well. and then they had a sequel come out a few years later that didn't do so well and was a confusing mess. Another big hit was Ted, Mark Wahlberg doing a comedy with a CGI animated teddy bear that comes to life and talks and smokes bongs with him and things like that. It's a fun movie. And surprisingly, Steven Soderbergh, outside of the Oceans franchise, scored a really big hit with Magic Mike, where Channing Tatum recruits a young guy to join his squad of male strippers in Florida, performing for the ladies, and the various personal issues involved with that. Really big surprise hit. Then there were lots and lots of disappointments. We had the Total Recall remake, which I don't think a lot of people cared for that much. There's a movie called The Watch, originally Neighborhood Watch, with Ben Stiller and Jonah Hill and a couple other guys, sort of a comical version of guys acting like they're all that when they're doing the Neighborhood Watch, and then they have to deal with aliens that invade. This unfortunately coincided with a whole incident with George Zimmerman being a part of a Neighborhood Watch squad and basically gunning down an unarmed teenager. So they made some changes. They changed the title from Neighborhood Watch to simply The Watch. But the movie really didn't end up doing all that well. You had Rock of Ages, which was a musical based on a Broadway musical, and it's all about, I don't know, guys trying to make it big as rock stars or whatever, and sort of the other people in that orbit. Tom Cruise and Alec Baldwin were a couple of the main guys in that one. You had Dark Shadows, Tim Burton's adaptation of the 70s TV series. Didn't really care for that movie, and I don't think it did all that great. There was Battleship, a movie which got ridiculed quite a bit because it's based on the board game Battleship, with aliens invading a region and the naval ship that's trying to fight it, and the aliens, I guess, fire these rockets that look like pegs that embed themselves into the battleship and then explode in an effort to recreate the gameplay, I guess. I think it's an enjoyable movie. It's fun, but yeah, it got made fun of quite a bit. And the other really noteworthy movie that came out in that summer was Prometheus. Ridley Scott returning to the Alien franchise for a prequel in which we basically sort of learn about the origin of the xenomorphs into what we know as their classic version from the Alien movies. Really big budget, not only for the movie but also for the mission. It's a much more well-funded mission than the small band of like 5 or 6 characters that are at the center of the original Alien movie. Rather confusing script. Really, there's a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of threads left hanging, some of which are resolved by the sequel, which was Alien Covenant, that came out, I think, last summer. Anyway, it was kind of disappointing for me, but did well enough to warrant a follow-up. Of course, Michael Fassbender's the recurring character in that particular portion of the franchise. I don't know if they're going to end up doing another one with him, or anyone else for that matter. You know, there's always interest in an alien movie of some kind. They tend to sort of function as slasher movies with a new set of characters going out into space to be victims to the xenomorph. So I guess we'll see about that. And that was the summer of 2012, the most noteworthy successes and disappointments from that summer. And my next video is going to be a brief summary on the next few years after that, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and last summer. And then I'll do a special video on what's happened during the summer that's just about to end. That will be up on my channel before August is finished, so please look out for that. And if you'd like to see any of the other videos in my series so far, the link to that is in the description below, along with the link to my CineRam Facebook page, if you'd like to stop by there as well. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again real soon. Take it easy.